Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good 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 morning, Miss.
Good morning.
Good morning, Miss.
Good morning, Miss Shake.
Good morning, everyone. Dr. Pinnock should be in to join us. We have other education officers who should be in. So we're hoping in a minute or two we'll begin. Just a second, please. In the meantime, Miss Marcia Stevens, would you be kind enough to get ready for devotion?
I am ready.
Hello, Miss Shakes. Good morning.
Good
Shakes.
morning.
Yes, good morning.
Right, there are many persons who are trying to get in and the room already reached capacity. Live stream as well.
Yes, it's going to be live streamed as well.
Could you tell us the how to get in the please?
Certainly. Mr. Beddossy, if you're on, would you be kind enough to put that link in the chat, please?
It is there, Mrs. Shakes. Good morning.
Good
I'm going
morning.
to
Thank you.
share it again.
It's already there.
Yes, but I'm going to share it again so it appears at the bottom.
Thank you so much. So for persons who are on, please share it with those persons who are not getting on, because you're already full to capacity. Excellent. Marcia, are you ready?
I am ready, ma'am. As soon as you indicate, I'll begin.
All right, let's go. Go ahead, ma'am. We'll now have Marcia Stevens. She will do the invocation for us. Please let us be reverent, Almighty God.
Okay, good morning, colleagues. This morning I want to share with you a text from James 1. James 1 verse 5, and it says, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given to him. Now, I thought about the beginning of 2020. I thought as 2020 vision is perfect, so I was expecting a year of perfection. And now most of us are confused. We ask many questions, but no one has the right answer. Now, Thomas, in the Bible, he had his doubt, but Christ didn't turn him away. Moses had his reservations, but God did not tell him to go home. Job had his struggles. God did not avoid him. Paul had his hard times. God did not abandon him. No, God never turns away the sincere heart. Tough questions don't stop God. He invites our probing. Mark it down. God never turns away the honest seeker. So we can go to God with our questions. We may not find all the answers, but in finding God, we know the one who does. And this morning, I want to share with you a song. No, I don't know it, but it's one that shares this very sentiment. I want you to listen to it, listen to the words. So many questions, the world is reaching, so many hurting, so many lost. With all this striving, who can we lean on? Creation crying out on the God. Question, no solution, where it comes from. Truly, Jesus is the answer. And I know that we are a nation that trusts in God. So at this time, I encourage us all to seek God to find the answers. I'm going to ask that you bow your heads in reverence. I'm going to pray. And even as I pray, read a prayer in your heart that God will give us the answers, especially in this situation of educating the nation's children. Let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you that you are ever present to hear us when we call. We thank you for life and all that we have experienced to make us into who you want us to be. In these times when there are so many unanswered questions, we look to you, trusting that you will bless us and our leaders with wisdom. Today we ask that you lead this training, that you inspire the team of trainers and the teachers alike who are here. Give us the solutions for educating our nation's children and continue to bless and guard Jamaica land we love. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Marcia. I do appreciate it. And in this time, we are all worried. We are in a new normal. And as a result of that, we have to look to the Almighty God for his guidance and protection. Dr. Michelle Pinnock, Regional Director, Education Officers, Cluster-Based Literacy Specialists, teachers, a pleasant morning to you. Welcome to our regional IDRI training session. Sharing with us this morning, we'll have Mr. Dale Bedasi, who is our Animation Education Officer for Region 4. Mrs. Young Miller will take you through a simulation of the IDRI, while I, Mrs. Shakes Wilson, will take you through the actual administration of the manual of the IDRI. Mr. Leighton Reed will monitor the chat for us. Is Dr. Pinnock on?
I'm trying to search for her, but I'm not seeing her. Not sure if she's using another device or another name.
Okay, she wanted to be let in just now along with Mrs. Young Miller.
Yeah, let me check the waiting. The waiting list is very long.
Oh my God. So colleagues, Dr. Pinnock will bring greetings on behalf of the region. But in the meantime, let me take this opportunity to welcome you. I'm looking at the participants, and I realize that we have teachers from all over the island. And this was geared for teachers in Region 4 because other trainings will go on in all the other regions. So I don't know what really happened. Yes? Are you seeing her, Mr. Reed?
No, I'm not seeing her.
All right. What we will do, we'll begin until she comes in. Colleagues, so Bedasi or Mr. Reed, could you please allow me to share my screen?
Okay. You do option to share.
Oh, thank you. We promise not to be very long this morning because I know all this information and the fact that school will reopen on Monday, persons need to be prepared. And so we promise not to be too long today. Are you?
Miss Shakes,
Yes, ma'am.
there is somebody else who is still having devotion in the background. I think the mics need to be muted.
Okay. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes, miss.
Thank you so much. Participants, I'm asking you please to mute your mics. Is Mrs. Young Miller in? All right then. So good morning again, colleagues. So we will begin until the other persons who are supposed to be on. Welcome again to our IDRI training session. If you can see the screen and if you can hear me, please indicate by putting a 1 in the chat.
And when you type it in and click, you will see one of the training
Objectives. Oh, I'm here.
Slash 4
But it is only for region 4.
Mrs. Shakes. Mrs. Shakes.
Yes, Mr. Reed.
All right. We weren't hearing you. I had to mute everyone and then give you permission to speak. So as of now, persons who want to speak will have to raise their hands.
Okay.
So you are good to go now.
But it appears as if I am having a little difficulty here now.
What exactly is the problem?
All right, I'm good to go now. Are you seeing anything? Are you hearing me still?
Yes, we're hearing you and we're seeing your front page or your cover page.
All right, excellent. So I will continue. Oh, I'm having a little challenge. I don't know what is happening, Mr. Reed. I'm not able to move my screen.
Move the screen using arrow keys.
Yes, using the arrow keys, I'm not able to.
Do you mind coming out of presentation mode?
Should I stop sharing and go back?
Let's try that.
Okay. Are we back now? Let me see. Yes.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, I'm okay now.
Good.
All right. Sorry about that, colleagues. We had a little technical challenge there, so we are back on. So for this morning, we're going to look at the IDRI and how to administer the IDRI online. Please, I'm asking all participants, take note. It is very important. And for a disclaimer, do not share this presentation if you are taping with anyone, because whomever is using this presentation must be trained to use it. All right. So objectives this morning, we want to foster awareness of the ministry's informal diagnostic reading inventory. We want to provide an opportunity for familiarization with the materials and procedures involved in administering the inventory, and to provide practice in the use of the inventory. And this simulation will be done online, since this is the Yes, good morning again. I'm sorry about that. I was unable to unmute. Are we back?
Yes, we are. Sister Shakes, are you hearing?
No, I'm hearing.
You're not? Are you seeing my screen?
No, I'm not. Let me stop sharing my screen then.
Your screen is not be shared. I stopped it.
Right. So I stop sharing my screen now. There you go. There you go.
Okay, let me try playing it another way. Just a second.
Good morning.
Are you hearing now? Shakes?
To our committed teachers, thank you for being present on this training. We really do appreciate the sacrifices that you continue to make. To our education officer, especially to Mrs. Wilson, Mrs. Shakes Wilson, and to Mrs. Young Miller, thank you very much for organizing this training in how to administer the IDRI. We know that today will be a productive one, and I ask you please to remain engaged as we make provisions to enable our children to uplift themselves through education. Once again, do understand that you are valued and valuable to the education system. I thank you.
Mrs. Shakes, were you able to hear?
Yes, I am hearing.
Okay, I think that's it. Were you able to hear the voice note?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
All right. So my screen is back on. Let me take this opportunity to thank Dr. Pinnock for her kind words. Are we back on now, Mr. Reed?
Yes, I'm seeing your screen.
All right, so welcome back, participants. I hope you enjoyed that session with Mr. Bedasi. And that is an online tool that you can use with your students. It is very interactive. You can use it at home. You can use it with your students, etc. So let's continue with the administrative aspect of the IDRI. I am not okay. Now, these are the list of things that you will contend with teachers as you administer the test. The list of the materials. We have the teacher's manual. That is your guide. We have the students' booklets. And in these booklets, you will have the alphabet knowledge. You will have the screening sentences. You will have the word list, as well as the passages. At the back of the teacher's manual, you will have a student summary sheet, and you will also see a general summary sheet. All right. Now, this is where you will now begin to take notes. Begin with the alphabet knowledge, especially at grade 1 to 3, or with students for whom you have no previous record. Now, colleagues, it makes no sense you take the result from your friend who is the teacher of the previous grade. So you have a friend who was a grade 3 teacher and you're a grade 4 teacher. And they told you, oh, so John, did his post test and he was at a level 3. No, remember, that it takes just a week or 2 days or 3 days for children to regress. And as a result of that, we need to ensure we have our own information of each student. So begin with the alphabet knowledge, and this way you will ensure that you student interview and they will ask the question, please tell us about yourself. The alphabet knowledge is used for 2 things: to get the children comfortable as well as to know where to begin the actual test. Next, go to the screening sentences, which will determine the level to start the word recognition or word list. Please take notes, because when Mrs. Miller is doing her simulation, we'll be asking a few questions. Next, go to the screening sentences, which will determine the level to start with the word recognition word list. Students' performance on the word list will determine which passage to start with for oral reading. So we are okay, Mr. Reed, since I am not able to monitor the chat?
Yes.
All right, excellent. Now, if the child was unable to read any sentence at all, you will begin administering the word list at the pre-primer. Remember, you will have all your materials. You will have all your materials working with. So if the child and the screening, remember, you start with the alphabet knowledge, and you move to the screening sentences. Now it depends on where the child is at the screening sentences, you will begin your word list. If the child was only able to read 1 sentence, then you start at the primer in the word list. I want you to pay special attention to the 2 columns. If the child is only able to read up to sentence 2, you go to the grade 1 word list. Are we seeing a trend here? Are we seeing a trend? I hope you are seeing a trend, because I have to be responding to myself since we cannot open the mic so everybody. Look at it. If the child is only able to read 3 sentences, you start at grade 2. 3 sentences, you start at grade 4. Grade 4 sentences, you start at grade 3. And if the child is able to read up to 5 sentences or up to sentence 5, you will begin the word list at grade 4. Are we following? I am seeing a good friend on screen. I don't know, teacher looks a little confused. So let me go over. For the screening sentences, the children, and you will see those in the simulation. If the child is not able to read any sentences at all, to begin the word list, you go to the pre-primer. Yes? If the child is only able to read sentence 1, you go to the primer. You start at the primer for the word list. If the child is only able to read 2 sentences, up to 2 or up to sentence 2, then the child you will start the word list at grade 1. So there's a trend. If you look to the left, you will realize that you have a grade up, and then for the administration of the word list, that's a grade down. So if they do 5 sentences, you will start at grade 4. Are they okay in the chat, Mr. Reed? Are there any questions?
I'm seeing info is clear. Yes, we're following.
All right, excellent. Good, let me continue. All right. So the word list, and please be reminded, colleagues, take notes. The word list consists of 10 words at the pre-primer and the primer level. 10 words at the pre-primer and the primer level. 15 words at grades 1 to 3. And 20 words at grades 4 to 9. Now, if you notice what is happening there, the younger the children are, we don't want them to be too frustrated, so they have less words to contend with. So I will continue. Now, how do we score the word list? Now you're going to put a mark on the score sheet for each item to show correct. And you see that's a plus sign. And for incorrect, you're going to use a 0 and not an X. A 0, because remember, you will have a sheet for each child to be marking. So you will put a mark on the score sheet for each item to show correct, which is a plus sign. And for incorrect, it's a 0 or an O. No X. Now, as I said before, please take notes. How do you know when the child master the scoring of the word list? No. Pre-primer, they must score 8 out of 10 for pre-primer and primer. They must score 8 out of 10. Grades 1 to 3, they must score 12 out of 15. And for the child to be at levels 4 to 9, they must score 15 out of the 20. Now for these children to master, let me go again. So for the child to be at the primer or pre-primer level, their mastery is 8 out of 10. For them to be at a level of 1 to 3, it must be 12 out of 15. And for grades 4 to 9, for them to be at level 4 to 9, they must score 15 out of 20. Now, point to note, the word list will determine which passage to start students with. And make special note of this. You will start one level below students' proficiency level on the word list. Is that confusing? Let me explain. So if the child is at level 5 on the word list, you will start at grade 4 passage or in the comprehension. So you will start one level before. So if the child is at grade 6 in the word list, you will start at grade. I can hear you, even though I'm not hearing you. If the child is at grade 9 at the word list, we will start at grade 8 on the comprehension passage. Are we still here and are we still clear? All right, great. We are good to go, Mr. Reed. You have to indicate to me now.
Yes, ma'am, we're good to go.
All right, excellent. Now, for the oral reading, is Mrs. Miller in? Because we are getting down to the wire. For the oral reading, the student will be required to read passages from the pre-primer through to grade 7. For the oral reading, The students will be required to read aloud passages from pre-primer through to grade 7. Miscues should be noted on the student's record form or the running record. How do we score for oral reading? And might I add, for grades 8 and 9, if the child is at those levels, they will read silently. Scoring for oral reading, pre-primer to grade 7 only. We have the levels to the left and the number of errors that they are permitted to the right. And remember, if I am going too fast, somebody please indicate so I can repeat.
I have a question here.
All right, good.
Sheikh?
Yes, sir.
I think someone here is asking, what is the suggested way to perform the IDRI on the online platform?
And that is why we are here. Because Mrs. Miller will be doing a simulation as to how the test is actually done online. So I am actually doing the administrative aspect of it, and then the simulation will go on after I'm through. I hope that answers the persons.
Definitely.
Right. Good. So for scoring for oral reading, pre-primer and primer, they are allowed 3 errors. For grade 1, they are allowed 6 errors. For grade 2, they're allowed 8 errors. And please be reminded of how we would mark by using the plus and the 0. And we're not going to be using any X per se. For grade 3, they're allowed 10 errors. For grade 4, they're allowed 12 errors. For grades 5 and 6, they're allowed 50 errors. And for grade 7, they're allowed 16 errors. I will reiterate, please ensure you are taking notes. This is extremely important. I will continue. Recording reading errors. Now, some errors that children make, we will not call those miscues per se. They're just information that teachers will use for guiding instruction and for intervention purposes. Now, some of these are omissions, additions, substitutions, and unknown words supplied by teacher. These are the errors that you will record. Remember the errors that they are allowed on the previous slide? So these are what you will be looking for. Omissions, additions, substitutions, and unknown words supplied by teacher. All right? For example, a child is reading and they will miss a word. Of course, you know that they will leave out a word. You know that's omission. For addition, they will put in a word for themselves. We don't know where that word comes from, but they will put in a word for themselves. For substitution, they may be reading and they see yard and they put home, or they see house and they put home, things like those. An unknown word supplied by teacher. The child might be there struggling for a little while, but because you don't want to stay forever on the exam, you may assist that child with that particular word. Are we still here? I hope you're still here. Now, what you'll know is that for recording errors, you will count one error the first time it is misread. Just the first time. You will not record it all the time that the student made that same error. Only the first time. Right?
Mrs. Shea,
No. Yes, sir?
someone is asking if you can explain addition again.
Okay. Addition is where a child may be reading, for example, the boy is going to school, and they will put in a word in that boy and his mother is going to school. So they will put in a word or words in the sentence that's actually seen.
All right.
I hope that is clear enough.
Should.
All right. So remember the other errors that were mentioned before, the omission, the addition, the word supplied by teacher, etc., and the substitution. Those are the errors that you're actually looking for the actual test itself. These errors that you see right here, this will be used only for teachers' intervention and teaching purpose. So you will record them, but they will not determine, they will not help to assist, they will not assist to determine the levels of the children, the level of children, I should say, the reading level of the child or children. So these are repetition, hesitation, self-correction, and disregard for punctuation. So if the child if the child keeps reading, the boy is going to school, the boy is going to school, the boy is going to school, that is repetition. Or he keeps repeating just one word, the boy, the boy, the boy, boy, that is repetition. Hesitation, they stay on the word for a long time because apparently they may not know the word, but they hesitate and trying to decipher the word, and they stay there for a little while. So they stay and they will not continue. We'll just have to touch them and say, listen, let's move on. For self-correction, they will realize that they make a mistake and they will go back and correct it. And disregard for punctuation, the commas and the question sign and all of those exclamation sign, they're not seeing those. So they are just reading. So these are not used. These four miscues, errors that you see here, they are not used to determine the reading level of the children, but they are used, they are recorded to be used in your instructions and intervention. You would need to correct these little errors with your children nonetheless. If you're still here and we're following, please say aye. All right. Now we move on to reading comprehension. Must be asked for grades 1 to 7. The questions must be, well, all of the questions must be asked, right up to grade 9, must be asked by the teacher or the examiner. The response is sure. The number of students' comprehension level. I hope we're still here.
Yes, we are. We're hearing.
All right. Mr. Reed, I'm
Yes.
having a little problem here. I am still where there is a screen to my right on the thing with participants. I need how to get it off. so I can see my full screen.
Right,
No.
there should be some options at the top.
Yes, sir.
There's a little it looks like a hyphen to your left. If you click on that, it should help you to minimize.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it. All right. So now, colleagues, we are at the reading comprehension. So we are scoring for comprehension now. We have done the word list. We have done the alphabet knowledge. We have done the word list. We have done the oral reading, and now we are at comprehension. All right. So how do we score for reading comprehension? So in the meantime, could you check if Mrs. Miller is in, because we are up to the wire. For scoring the read comprehension, for the grades, we have the pre-primer, grades 1 to 4, grades 5 to 9. We have 3 levels, and I want you to look at them carefully. For the child to be at the pre-primer or the primer level, for them to be independent, there should be no error at all. For them to be at the instructional level of comprehension, they are allowed 1 error. And for the frustration level, they're allowed 2 or more errors. So once they make 2 errors, we know that they're frustrated. Yes? With the scoring aspect, okay. All right. Do just that. As a teacher, you have to ensure that no child is left behind. All right. So let's go back to the reading comprehension. The questions should be asked by the examiner or by the teacher. The student's responses should be recorded on the student's record form. The number of incorrect responses will determine the student's comprehension level, which means that is what we are going to next. The number of incorrect responses they are allowed. And please be reminded that the questions will be asked by the teachers. Questions, they will read, they will do their oral reading. And of course, remember that grades 1 to 7, they will read aloud. Because everything intertwined, nothing is discrete and by itself. So it's one test and everything is linked. So from the oral passage, the questions will be asked. All right. So now this is where we are now with how we score the reading comprehension based on the questions that the teachers will be asking, the examiner will be asking from the oral passage. All right. So let me begin again. Let me go back to the pre-primer and the primer. For pre-primer and primer, for the child to be at the independence level, they're allowed 0 error. So they must answer all the questions based on that oral passage. For instructional, for them to be at the instructional level, that's the grade that they're in, that's the pre-primer, primer, they're allowed 1. Only 1 error. And for them to be frustrated at the pre-primer level, they will answer 2 or more questions wrong. For grades 1 to 4, to be at the independence level, they're allowed 1 error. So they're allowed to answer 1 question wrong. and they are still independent at grades 1 to 4. To be at the instructional level, they're allowed to miss 2 questions. So you ask them the questions and they did not respond to 2 of them, they're at the instructional level for grades 1 to 4. And for them to be frustrated at that level, at that grade, they will answer 3 or more questions wrong. Good. For grade 5, it would have been the same thing for grades 1 to 4. For grades 5 to 9, 1 to 4, 1 to 4 and 5 to 9 is the same thing. 0 to 1 error, independent, 2 errors, instructional, 3 or more, they would be frustrated. Mr. Bedasi, Mr. Reed, are we okay on both YouTube and what levels? Is that I just explained? I wonder if this is what I just explained, or because it must be this. So let me explain it again. All right. The children will be given oral pages to read, and the teacher will ask the questions, the comprehension questions. And how do we score for comprehension? And how do we know which level the children are at which grade? This is how it goes. So for grade pre-primo to primo, we have 0 error for them to be at the independent level. At the instructional level, they're allowed 1 error. And for us as teachers to know that they're frustrated, even though we just ask them a few questions from the pre-primo passages, we know that they're frustrated when they did not respond, when they got 2 answers wrong, 2 or more answers wrong. For grades 1 to 9, they are to be at the independence level. They are allowed to answer 1 question wrong. Right? We wouldn't want them to answer anything wrong, you know, but for them to be at the independence level for grades 1 to 9, they're allowed 1 error. For the instructional level, for grades 1 to 9 as well, they are allowed 2 errors. So you ask them the questions based on the number of questions, and they're allowed to answer two of them wrong. And again, we move on to the frustration level. Same thing for grades 1 to 4, grades 1 to 9. If once we know that they're frustrated, they will answer. You're asking them the question, you realize they're not getting them correctly. So you know that grades 1, so you know that 3, they answer 1, 2, 3, and they go on to 4, 5, 6. We know that they are frustrated at grades 1 to 9. I hope that answers the question. All right. Now, how do we establish the overall reading level for the children? The student's overall reading level is determined by the highest level at which he or she does not exceed the number of errors permitted for oral reading or fall below the indicated level of success for comprehension. So it means that we are using oral reading and comprehension to determine the level, the overall reading level of our children. So it means that if the child is reading without exceeding the errors at grade 7, but they are able to respond to questions up to grade 9, the overall reading level of the child is going to be grade 7. If the child reads fluently and without the miscues and so on up to grade 4, but is able to answer the questions up to grade 5, ask them to read again, and you still ask them the question and they answer the questions at grade 5. The overall reading level of the child going to be grade 4 because they did not make any miscues there, even though they respond to the comprehension questions at grade 5. Are we still here? This is how we establish the overall reading level of our children. Mr. Reed, is Mrs. Miller on? Because we now need to move to the
Yes, we got her.
Thank God.
Is it her time?
So colleagues, find out if they have any questions that pertaining to the administration. Can now move into the simulation.
Explain again.
All right, no problem. So to determine overall reading level of the child, look at it. It says, I know this is a mouthful, what is placed there on the slide, but what it is simply saying is that once the child did not exceed all the errors permitted for reading, and they did not fall below the level of success, that's the same, if you the same number of mistakes, or they did not respond to certain answers, the number of answers for comprehension, you go back, you use both oral reading and comprehension. So let me give an example. If the child is able to read up to grade 6, that's the oral reading, and they're permitted the number of errors, and they did not make errors at all, it means that the child is at level 6 in oral language. But as teachers, sometimes they want to go a little further, so we ask them to read a little more, and ask them a few questions at the grade 7 or grade 8, and they're able to answer those questions. Those will be omitted. We're not using those. The overall reading level, because they were able to read proficiently at grade 6, and they were able to answer all the comprehension questions at grade 6. It means that their over reading level is at grade 6 because they did not exceed the number of errors permitted for reading, and they did not fall below the level of success for comprehension. So we use oral reading and comprehension to determine the overall reading level of the children. I hope that is a little clearer. Are we okay now, Mr. Bedasia and Mr. Reed?
Seeing questions still
Excellent.
Let me see if it's the same person who had asked this question. Because the person was asking, how can a child comprehend at grade 5 and reads at grade 4?
Yes, it happens. It happens, colleague, where especially the fact that it is oral reading. It is oral reading, they're reading. And so the teacher will ask the question. The children will remember. They will remember and respond to these questions. Maybe if it was written, it would be a little different. But because it's oral questions, they will respond. So a child may be reading fluently at grade 7, but when you ask them questions again, they might not be able to respond. And remember, reading is not merely calling words, but they must be able to comprehend what it is that they're reading. So that is why we use both the oral reading and the comprehension to determine the overall reading level of the children. All right, colleagues. We will now move to the actual simulation and test, and then we will come back to showing you what the score sheet will look like, right? As I promised you that it wouldn't be too long. So Mrs. Miller will take you through the actual simulation, and then you will come back to me to show you the actual, what the running record will look like. All right. Thank you so much. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and ask Mrs. Miller to do her presentation. Are they okay, Mr. Reed and Mr. Bedasi?
Still have some questions. Still have some questions. A particular participant is asking, well, the person saying that sometimes that. Let me go back to that question. Question. Where are we? What if a child comprehend at grade 6, but is reading at grade 5? Not seeing the question, but I think it was something of that sort.
What if the child is reading at?
What if a child comprehends at grade 6, but is reading at grade 5? Let me find the exact text. What if a child reads at grade 5 but comprehends at grade 6? What would be the overall reading level?
The overall reading level is grade 5. The overall reading level is grade 5 because they were competent at grade 5.
Yes, I think can the teacher reading questions another? Can the teacher reading question another way than on script?
No, the questions are based on the passages. The questions are actually aligned or to the passages. They're right there after each passage.
I'm not sure if this
sir?
person's if a teacher can rephrase the question, or the questions must be read as they are on the script.
It depends, because sometimes we realize as long as we have the same understanding, as long as we are not changing the question per se, because sometimes a child may not understand what you're actually asking them. But it is recommended, because it's a standardized test, it is recommended that the questions be left alone. Just as how they are, they should be used. But sometimes as teachers, we have to be creative in our mode of delivery. So it depends.
Here's another question. What if the child is not able to master the ABC? What should you do?
Right there, you know that you have to make referrals. You know that you will not continue with the test. And another thing too, sometimes the children will not be able to say the ABC, but they can go to the word list and call a few words. So as I said, it depends on the teacher and the circumstances. There are times when teacher will disallow the test because the child is unable to say the letters and the letter sounds. But the teacher will allow the child to move on to the word list. The screening sentence is the word list. And you will realize that the child is able to call a few words there, etc. But it depends on the circumstances. I will not say leave it alone, and I will not say just disregard the test for that child, but try something else, because it depends on the circumstance of the child.
All right, Mrs. Shakes, here's another question. What if a child reads a passage up to grade 6, but is independent at the comprehension at grade 3? This means that the child is reading at grade 3?
Yes, because even if the child reads up to grade 6 and is not able to respond to the questions, remember, as I said before, colleagues,
maybe you should
reading is not merely calling words. They must be able to respond to the questions. They must be able to comprehend what was read, right? I can see a book and I just read it, and somebody asks me, what was the book about? And you're looking in space, you have no idea. What will that person? You merely call words.
Mrs. Shakes?
Yes, sir?
I'm thinking that if a child is independent where comprehension is concerned. That child should not even be reading, given a chance to read at grade 6. More than that, you shouldn't reach it there.
Exactly. But as I said, sometimes as teachers, we want to test the waters. We want to test the waters. And if the child is not able to read the passage, why are you going to ask them questions? And what are you going to ask them questions from? So it must be the same passage that they read, you ask them the questions from. So even if they read up to grade 4 and you ask them the questions and they made the errors, and you move to grade 5 and you ask them to read and you ask them questions and they made the errors again, why would you want to go to grade 6?
Exactly.
So you know that, as I said before, the overall reading level is determined by the oral reading combined with the comprehension. All right, I hope I responded to those questions. All right.
Questions I am not necessarily asking them because I don't think. Well, let me go ahead. What about the students who do not have the Google account because they have no internet access?
All right. Worst case scenario, colleagues, if it's a case where the children are not able to connect with you online for this test, you may have to call them in to do the face-to-face test. And you please be reminded of the disaster risk management, all of those things. You have to be reminded of the protocols that are there. But worst case scenario, we want to ensure that the child is tested and no child is left behind. Another thing was stated is that sometimes, well, let me leave it alone. But we have to try and face to face with that one child or 2 children. But there are other means and ways, and as time goes by, we'll try and figure it out. But as it is now, we are trying to focus on the online training so that persons can know exactly what to do once the children have the platform to go on. All right.
All right. I have one question and it's being repeated. Can the students use the story or the passage as reference to answer the questions, or should you take the booklet as soon as they're finished reading?
That has been a question over the years. That has been a question over the years where persons have been asking that. So that's a good question. But here what happened, the fact that it's going to be online is going to be tricky. So the child may not be able to, some of them may be able to refer to. And remember, the teacher will be the one who will be manipulating the test online. So the teacher will determine whether they want the child to go or not.
I'm thinking though, Mrs. Shakes, that should be perfectly fine. Being that the child, even going back through the passage, the child will be using some comprehension skills.
Yes, some skills. Not comprehension skills, but literacy skills to go back.
Go through and search.
Right, to go through and search.
Yes.
But be up to the teacher, because the teacher will be manipulating, yes, the test. So the teacher would have to go back to the passage for the child, so the child will be able to look at it, right? So as I said before, it depends on the teacher, but it is recommended that if the child is struggling and they need assistance, you will give them a little hope as to help them out. Somebody is asking, Mr. Reed, is it mandatory that we do it face-to-face if the students can't come online? I will not say it's mandatory. I will not say, based on what is happening now, I will not say it's mandatory. But we want to try as best as possible to get the children tested, because for differentiation to take place, we have to know the levels of our children. We don't want to just send homework to them, and when we're teaching online, we're teaching everybody the same thing. Right? And when we are giving them the activities, we are giving everybody the same thing. We want to know the levels. So we will try, we are creative people, and we will try to get around to that. All right? Could we move on?
Right, let me go ahead and ask Mrs. Young Miller to unmute herself. She'll be the next person coming, right?
Yes, somebody was asking about the online administration, please. Mrs. Miller will now do a simulation as to how it is done. So colleagues, please give Mrs. Miller a round of applause. She is the cluster-based literacy specialist in the literacy unit in Region 4. So she will take you through the simulation of the online administration. All right. Mrs. Miller, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. I am getting a feedback. I'm having delayed responses on my system. Right.
We are hearing you perfectly fine, though.
But I'm hearing all that Mrs. Shakes Wilson was saying. I don't know what's happening from my end.
Do you have YouTube and the YouTube link open?
Oh, probably I do.
Just go
Right,
ahead
probably
and
I
close
do.
that.
Let me just go and exit from that. Okay. Thank you very much. Let me get back to my...
You're steering, right?
All right, good.
Mrs. Miller, we're not hearing anything.
I have closed out my...
Okay.
I have closed out my windows, but I'm still hearing the feedback. I don't know what's happening still. Nevertheless, let me not be distracted by that. All right, colleagues, good morning to you all. Thank you to Shakes Wills for that comprehensive presentation that you just did. Colleagues, at this point, we realize that there are so many persons demanding this test that we were oversubscribed. It took me almost a decade to get in. But for this morning, what I'm actually going to demonstrate for you is how you would use the instrument online.
Okay.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, we're hearing you on the scene, your screen.
Hearing and seeing my screen, great. Right, when you weren't hearing me, I was actually thanking my supervisor, Ms. Shakes Wilson, for that comprehensive presentation that she has done. And I was indicating that in trying to get in, what I would have done for the simulation, I'm putting my plan B in place, Mrs. Shakes Wilson, because it was so difficult to get in. The person I would have done the simulation with is unable to get it. So what I am going to do is to show you how to use instrument and then show you a minute clip of something that we had done as a draft. Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, we're hearing you on the scene, your screen.
Hearing and seeing my screen, great. Okay, so this is instrument. Right, when you weren't hearing me, I was actually thanking my supervisor, Ms. Shakes Wilson, for that comprehensive presentation that she has done. And I was indicating that I'm trying to get in what I would have done for the simulation. I'm putting my plan B in place, Mr. Shakes Wilson, because it was so difficult to get in. The person I would have done the simulation with is unable to get it. So what I am going to do is to show you how to use instrument and then show you a minute clip of something that we had done as a draft. Are you able to hear me now?
Your screen.
Right. When you weren't hearing me, I was actually thanking my supervisor, Ms. Jakes Wilson, for that comprehensive presentation that she has done. And I was indicating that I'm trying to get in what I would have done for the simulation. I'm putting my plan B in place, Mr. Shakes Wilson, because it was so difficult to get in. The alphabet person I would have done the simulation with is unable to get it on this. So what I am going to do is to show you how to use instrument and then show you a minute.
All right.
Mrs. Miller?
All right. I think because you started sharing now, you started sharing your screen, so you were sharing your computer's audio as well. It means that that YouTube link is open somewhere on your computer. Yeah. All right. She's trying to speak. Let me give her permission to.
Yes, I closed out everything now. Because in attempting to get on earlier, I was using multiple devices to try to actually join the meeting because I was locked out. So I've closed down everything. Are you hearing me clearly now, everyone?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Sorry about that. I was in a frenzy trying to get it on my phone, on my 2 laptops and everything. So I have closed out everything now. So to resume, let's get back to our PowerPoint. All right. So just to quickly recap, this is a document that we have modified to do the digital administration. Here we have a disclaimer: persons using the document must be trained. It is advantageous to the child if the person is trained and knows how to operate the document. Now, as Mrs. Shakes Wilson would have indicated from the training, the documents that you would have needed, all these documents have been put in soft copy. Now, from your booklet, you would have been asked to cover each letter, or cover the letters the child would not see, so that when the administration is going on, the child would have actually seen only the letter that he or she is actually using. Now, the PowerPoint is coded in the sense that if you look to the top of my screen here, you can see my cursor move, follow it. If you look at the top of the screen here, you will see AP, alphabet principle, and the lowercase a indicates that you're looking at the lowercase letters. 1 to 7 indicates that there are 7 pages that we're going to be scrolling through for this particular section. Now, as you allow the child to call or name the letters, each letter will disappear after the child finishes, the next one will appear, and so on. And you would continue this way. Move on to page 2, just the same, right? Now, at the bottom of the page, we have our forward button, and it will take you through the document just the same. So you have the option of running through and also going forward with the button. You also have the uppercase alphabet principle. Again, at the top section of the corner here, you will see a capital A and a capital P, which indicates that you are now in the second section of the alphabet principle. Again, the students will name these letters. Why is this important? It's important because sometimes the children are able to identify lowercase, but not necessarily uppercase. So we want to check their alphabet knowledge of both lower and upper cases. And we continue just the same. Now, the document also indicates to you that the child must provide the sounds of these letters. We're going back to the lowercase principle for the child to actually identify sounds of letters. Now we have this icon here which indicates to you that you are now in this section where the child should be giving you the sounds of the letters. It is also color-coded by a yellow page, and all pages that should provide, that the child will be provided with to give us the sounds are in this same color. 7 pages again, as was the first case. So it's the lower case, and the child will give you the letter sound. Right? And they would give you the sounds and you continue. Let's go forward. All right, let me go back here. Now, if you notice on this page, after finishing your letters, you would have moved on to your screening sentences. Again, it's coded at the top. SS screening sentences is sentence 1. So the 1 refers to the sentence number. At the right-hand corner, you're going to find a button, 2 buttons actually, P and PP, primer and pre-primer. Mrs. Shakes Wilson would have indicated from the training that if the child is able to read the first sentence, then the child goes on to the pre-primer passage. If that's the only sentence that the child can read, the child would actually go to the, sorry, not the passage, the pre-primer word list. Sorry about that. What if the child is not able, though, to read any of the sentences? Then we know that the child would go to the primer. Sorry, I just made a mistake here. The child goes to the primer word list if the child reads 1 sentence. If the child is able to read 1 sentence, the child goes to the pre-primer word list. Sorry about that. And you have your forward button at the bottom to take you to the next sentence, and your back button. If there's a back button on sentence 1, I heard somebody asking this question earlier. What if the child is not able to read any of the sentences? Now, we would have used the alphabet principle for the lower grades of the school. So grades 1 to 3, we would have applied the alphabet principles, but not necessarily grades 4 to 11. A colleague asked earlier, is this training for primary school teachers only? And I responded by sharing with the person to say that the assessment is designed for both primary and secondary levels. So we're going to say that if the child, even at a grade 11 level, cannot go beyond sentence 1, which we have those cases, you will have to go back to the alphabet principle to see what the child knows. So you have your back button will take you back to this alphabet principle where you can actually test the child's ability level there. Now, sentence 2, I've taken you to, as Mrs. Wilson said, grade 1 passage, grade 1 word list. Once you go forward, each sentence will take you to the appropriate word list per grade level. So SS3, your screening sentence 3 would have taken you to grade 2, all the way up to sentence 5, which takes you to your grade 4 level as indicated in the training. So your grade 4 level, just so the letters have appeared and then disappear, the same thing with the word list. So you will have the words appearing 1 by 1 because the principle of the assessment is that you should only show the child 1 word at a time. So we would have catered to that principle in the presentation of your online document. So we present 1 word at a time, disappear, the next word appears. So the child is able to focus, decode, and actually call the word. Mrs. Wilson indicated also that you may have children who, in calling the word or decoding the word, they will take some time to do that. Ample time should be given, but we know we cannot spend all day on one child. And so you indicate to the child that there's no pressure added. If they do not know the word, they can move on. So that is your word list. Now, at the top here, the word list, as was mentioned, if the child is at a grade 4 word list, then you actually move to the comprehension passage, which is at grade 3, one level below the word list, right? So what if the child was not able to read the grade 3 passage? The child reads, able to identify the words up to grade 4, but when the child is now reading the passage, realize that the child is a bit frustrated. So you may want to go back. So we have a back button to take you one level below to a grade 2 passage. You may find that the child is more instructional at this passage. If the child completes the grade 3 passage and you need to move forward, you use the arrow, the green arrow that goes forward to a grade 5 passage, and so on. And of course, as was indicated, you're going to use your questions from your booklet, actually ask students. After the oral reading, you would have used the questions to ask the students now to answer the questions to assess their comprehension level and their overall reading level. That's the quick demonstration of the instrument. So this goes all the way up to grade 9. Colleagues, I'm going to quickly share with you, persons are really concerned about how to administer this online. So yes, it is all good that we have the instrument and the instrument caters to use on the platform, but how is it going to be done? Let me see if I can quickly share with you a simulation that we practiced. As I said, I was trying to log on another person, actually a child, who was supposed to do the simulation with me, but based on the fact that we could not log in initially, then I have opted to just show you a clip that we use as a draft, and we are in the process of actually redoing these videos for you to have them. So Mrs. Shakes Wilson, you will provide video clips so that it can be placed on the web, on the classroom, the Google Classroom that we have in the region, and probably on YouTube, depending.
So will you be showing it? Will you be showing us some of it now?
Yes, I want to actually demonstrate, show the one that we did for the draft to see if we could give them a little idea of how it would be conducted online.
Excellent.
So, let me go back and see if I can share my screen.
Okay.
So colleagues, instrument really user-friendly. It has, I am not able to find my video, colleagues. Okay, I'm finding it here. I'll just let you watch and then I will explain what I was saying prior to now. Share zone. Hello, good morning. My name is Mrs. Miller. What is your name? Okay, Kajay Miller, nice to meet you. How are you feeling today? I'm feeling fine. Very good. Now, this morning, we're going to be doing a little reading. I am going to share some letters with you, and I want you to be very comfortable in calling the letters. Okay? Great. Can you see my page? Okay, could you just call the letters that you are seeing? Could you go a little louder for me?
Okay. PDACDMBXSDIO.
Continue.
SDIONTZWLKYE.
The next line.
NTZWLKYERHFU.
Thank you very much. Now, can you make the sound of these letters, Kaje? Let me hear you make the sound of these letters. Go ahead. You have to speak loudly for me to hear.
Go. Go. Bo.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Reed, could you unmute Mrs. Miller, please?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Reed. So colleagues, I just gave you a little tip of the presentation, not the full presentation. You may have noticed though that what we used initially was the document, the soft copy of the original before it was put on PowerPoint, before it was digitized. And that is why we're saying we're going to redo our video so that you can actually see us use the PowerPoint online. But you would have gotten the gist of how you would have engaged your students. So just as how you have one child being projected on your device, and we already know that you cannot assess the students in a group. So you will have to now probably have a breakout room where you will take one of the child while the others are working. So you provide that avenue. Or it could be that when you would have broken class for the day, maybe in the lunchtime or so on, you may want to arrange with a child and make some arrangement. But it should be that the child is done individually, as we know that. So you have your Zoom platform, you have your document, you share your screen, the child sees the screen, and the child is able to call the letters, call the words, move on to the comprehension passages just the same. As I said, the document is very friendly, user-friendly. It provides back and forward buttons that you can use to manipulate the document. You find that you don't have to do any covering of the letter. If you notice when the child was calling the letters, because he was seeing all of them, by the time I scrolled down, he repeated some of the letters. So all of this has been corrected. Once we were doing our test trials, we saw all the possible things could go wrong. And so we did our corrections and we are ready for you. So the process of editing is going on now with the video, and you will actually get the videos to see how it can be done online. But I just provided you with a gist. I just took you through the PowerPoint, and Mrs. Shix Wilson reminded you of the principles behind the assessment. So colleagues, what I'm going to encourage you to do, just as though it is online, you will have to motivate the child just the same. So when you realize that the child would have done well on the letter principle, whether they do well or not, motivate them. Just give them a clap. Oh, great. I am pleased. I am happy. Continue. If you notice how I was interacting with him and I asked him to be comfortable with me, just the same, we want you to provide that level of comfort. Motivation is the seat of learning. And if our children are not motivated, if they're not comfortable, the assessment is going to be useless, because you may find that these children, especially when they're coming over from the anti-situation, where they're coming from preschool, prep school, basic school, and everybody at that level is anti this, anti that. So it's anti-Karen, anti-Nicola. But when they get to primary school, they reach grade 1, and you're going to do this assessment with them for the first time, and it is now teacher. Please bear in mind that there is going to be some amount of fear for these children. They don't know what to expect, so they want to see a friendly face. Children feed from the energy that you give from your camera. Please don't use a blank screen. Don't put up a letter for your screen. Don't put up your picture for the screen when you're interacting with the children. Let them see your face. Let them realize that approval is there, encouragement is there, no judgmental approach is being used for them. This is what the children will use as their prompt to actually be comfortable in calling the letters and determining. Finally, please bear in mind that when you're assessing, depending on the grade level and the ability level, one test may take 5 minutes, while another test can take up to 15 or maybe half an hour to do, depending if you are to go all the way up to the passages. So be patient and bear in mind that our children need to know that you care about them. Over to you, Mrs. Shix Wilson. Go ahead, please. All right. Yeah. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mrs. Miller.
Good morning.
I understand that it is user-friendly, nice, but is it that it will be sent to us for us to use it?
Definitely.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
And that is why we're facilitating the training. We did not want to send out the document without you knowing how to use it. You're also going to be getting a password. I think Mrs. Shakespeare will explain more, but you will be getting a password that will give you access to the document so that the document cannot be edited. So each teacher is getting the same password. You can open at your convenience, use at your convenience. It's yours to use for assessment. Please don't overexpose the children to the document though, because if you do that, you're going to find that the children may recall from memory and not necessarily display their true ability. So you don't want to overuse the instrument.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And Ms. Cooper. Okay, I think I just I think I just saw where somebody is suggesting Galaxy Tab A says the schools need to schedule times in the timetable to do the reading test. Another person is saying that nothing was said about how to record students' scores. Mrs. Shakes will indicated that she's going to show you the running records after my presentation. So she will show you the document that will be used to record. Anybody else? Okay.
She's back. She's back here.
Okay. Yes, the test can be. Sorry about that. Monique is asking if the test can be administered through any platform. Yes, it can be. And that is why we don't stipulate whether you're going to use Google Meet, Zoom. It is dependent on what you have. So whichever platform, the PowerPoint presentation is accessible on any platform. Thank you for your recommendations, colleagues.
All right,
What if
Mrs.
they're
Miller?
unable? Sorry, Ms. Wilson, this question is saying, what if they're unable to get the students online? What if we're unable to get the students online, but there is noise in the background or a parent or a sibling telling them what to say? Good, I'm glad you raised that issue. We cannot dictate what will happen to the students in the background, but how, as a teacher, you will control this is the fact that you will have to stipulate that all cameras should be on for the child who is going to be presenting. You must be able to hear the child, so you are going to monitor the child's response. You know, if somebody comes to the side, the child is going to turn, or if somebody is in front, the child will look. You will be able to say to the child, please focus, please tell the person beside you, whatever. If it's a case where you have a parents group, educate your parents of the importance of not prompting the children. It is important for them to understand that they are partners in the child's learning. So if they provide the answer for the child, it means that we will not be able to provide the correct instruction nor intervention for the child. So help the parents to understand that and let them know that give the child the space to just do the assessment on their own. There are some parents in the background who will say, why did you not know that? We don't want for the parents to pressure the children. So educate the parents, let them know that this is an assessment that we're using to see where the child is now so that you can help the child. So just partner with the parents. Go ahead now, Mrs. Shakes Wilson. Thank you very much, colleagues. Enjoy the rest of the presentation.
I'm not sure what's going on. I'm seeing that she's in the meeting. Okay, her microphone is up now. Mrs. Shakes?
Okay, thank you. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you clearly.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you clearly.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Mrs. Miller. My internet is very unstable and I keep bumping off. So let us hurry to finish this presentation. Mrs. Miller, thank you again for that. This morning is the word for the day, for that comprehension was great, and Kajay did a lovely job. I am 100% sure that the teachers are following. All right. Now I am going to be sharing what the running record is like, as well as a blank IDRI summary sheet, and then we'll be out of here. All right, this is what the blank summary sheet looks like. We seen?
Yes, I'm seeing. Yes.
Great. So to your left, on top, you will have all the relevant information that you will put in there. The student's name. You will record the number of students that are below primo, those that are at the independent level, and those that are at the instructional level. If you look on where that green column is, that green color, it says readings, and that's the overall reading level of the children. If you look to your right, you will see the weaknesses identified from IDRI. All right? So you have the word recognition, the comprehension, and the alphabet principles. So you would have been recording these, and these would have, you would have had these as to refer to as you go along. So this is the overall summary sheet for the exam, for the test, for the diagnostic tool. Okay. So all of this will be sent to you. All of this will be sent to you. And please be reminded not to share the information with persons who are not trained, especially the simulation that Mrs. Miller did. There are two codes to access that document. And so only persons who are trained will be given those codes. And as I am on that, please do not edit the document as you go along. It is a standardized document, and we have to allow it to remain as it is. All right? I am trying to find the running record. Give me a second. All right, I might be having a little challenge here finding the running record. But as I said before, all this information will be sent to you, and you will see how the running record. And you remember when I did the actual administration of the test itself, you will ascertain how to actually record the miscues of the children. Everything is outlined there for you. So the form is simple to use, and you'll be just fine. Do we have any questions, additional questions, Mr. Reed, that we may respond to, maybe 3 or 4, while we ask Mrs. Hervelyn Forbes of Success Primary, John Rollins Success Primary, to give the vote of thanks on our behalf?
All right. I am seeing a question here. What if we are unable to do the IDRI online and the face-to-face? Where do we go from there?
Oh, Lord. Teachers, colleagues, please be reminded that SAU are in the process of conducting their diagnostic tests. I think for 4 subjects, language arts is one of those. And you can use that language arts as a little tool, put it that way, to know exactly where your children are. You can use it to know whether the children has regressed or whether they had improved over this period, over this pandemic. So all is not lost. There'll be the SAU diagnostic instrument that will be, I think they're already sent to the schools that the teachers can use in the meantime until we get back to normalcy, if there will ever be a time for that. The ones that are not online, that is what I mentioned that in terms of face to face. I don't know. It depends on the teacher and the school situation and the arrangement that is that the school, that the principal has, and administration and everybody who are there. It depends on what is the arrangement. But if it's a case where we go back to normalcy, we would have asked the teachers to do the test face to face. And even though we are recommending that the test be done online, no, we are still recommending. We want it to be as valid as possible. If we get back to normalcy, we would love for the test to be repeated, even though it is time consuming, but it is preferably done, and it is recommended that it is done face to face. But with this new normalcy, we just have to be creative. There's something that we just cannot recommend. Just have to work with what we have.
All right. When will the online test be ready?
As soon as the editing is done, and we are in the process of editing right now, as Mrs. Miller said earlier.
All right.
I noticed there's another question, Mr. Reed, that there are many instruments that are out there, which is the recommended one. The informal diagnostic reading inventory that we just did now. We did the simulation and we did the administrative aspect of it. This is the recommended tool for the Ministry of Education in Jamaica. This was developed by teachers in Jamaica. It was developed by educators. We took all these things into consideration. And so the IDRI is the recommended tool for our Jamaican schools, both primary and high schools.
Right. I'm still looking to see if I see any other question. I realize that a lot of persons are asking about the same question you just mentioned.
Okay. All right. Is Mrs. Forbes ready? Hervelyn Forbes?
Let me find her for you.
Yes.
Yes, I'm seeing her, so I'm going to ask her to unmute.
Yes, please.
Just before I do so, I noticed that a message came from Dr. Pinnock asking if she could greet the teachers. I don't know if she's still on.
Let me check if she's here. I had accepted her. Yes, she's here. Let me ask her to unmute.
Good afternoon to my teachers and principals. Good afternoon to my presenters and of course my technical team. Colleagues, this was such a wonderful session. I came in to greet you earlier and of course was bumped off because we had 500, and then I moved to YouTube and I was actually there and enjoying the presentation. I want to say a special thanks to Miss Golding from Seaward Primary School from Region 1. She was actually in the YouTube helping to answer some of the questions. Thank you very much. Teachers, we really appreciate the sacrifice that you have made to be present at this training. These are different times, and there are times that are we're all experiencing. There are different times that we have to bring hope to our persons. We have to uplift our persons. And similar to how we got a chance at grade 1 through 6 grade 7 through 11 or 13, we want to ensure that our students have an equal opportunity. We have risen to the occasion as it relates to the IDRI, and I believe that we will certainly be reaping a lot of benefits from offering this test virtually. We ask you please to be creative and to really look at the big picture. Colleagues, I know that you would love to do this test face to face, but there are some realities. We have deaths that are over 100. We're seated in Western Jamaica where we know that our availability of hospital beds are certainly limited. And so I ask us please to think about the other person as we try to state that this cannot be done virtually. It can be done, and if it is that you're having any difficulty, I ask you to reach out to your principal, reach out to your education officers, and we will certainly support you and provide some answers to that. So once again, I say thank you very much for being here. I want to say a very big thank you to Mrs. Shakes Wilson and to Mrs. Young Miller. Your presentations, ladies, were well received and we learned a lot. To Mr. Leighton Reed and Mr. Bedesi, thank you for being the technical help, ensuring that we answer all the questions both on the YouTube and on the Zoom. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon, and I know you will have a wonderful academic year 2020-2021. Thank you for all your efforts, and may God bless you and you remain safe. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pinnock. That was like the icing on the cake, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much. That is our regional director for Region 4, the Region of Innovators. We'll now ask Mrs. Herbert Lynn Forbes to do the vote of thanks for us, please.
Since Dr. Pinnock actually did put the icing on the cake, I guess all I can actually ask is all of us to eat same. In this new normal, when we have been plunged in the fourth industrial revolution, literacy, as we know, is a tool among the necessities. We all need to be literate, and we all need to make the children whom have been given to our care literate as well. With this in mind, I do say thank you on behalf of all educators on this platform today and also on YouTube. Thank you, Region 4 Literacy Unit, headed by Mrs. Nicola Shakes Wilson. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mrs. Smith-Miller. The administrative aspect of the tool, the stimulation we have been given by both of you is more than enough for us to go out there and eat the cake and help the children eat same. Mr. Bedesi, all of us are going to go on Kahoot, I assure you, and we are going to make sure that we do as we have been taught. Thank you, sir, for that brain teaser icebreaker. Mr. Reed, without you, we would not be able to navigate this platform today. To be muted and unmuted, or questions answered, the assistance you have given, we really say thanks. Dr. Pinnock, she sent a message when she was not able to get through, colleagues, because she wanted to make sure that we felt special, because to us, to her rather, we are and not feeling satisfied that only a message was sent. Or, dear doctor, you have come in and you have given us the icing on the cake, as it was said. We thank you. We are assured that your dreams are the dreams we also have to ensure that our children are taken care of. Thanks for that. My dear colleagues, without you, we would not have had this training. Thank you for coming. Thank you for taking the notes that you have taken. Thank you for giving the assurance that you're all going to go out and ensure that it is done. Come on, let's help our children read today so that they can lead tomorrow. Thanks again. May God bless you all, bless us all as we go out and navigate and rise. Let's rise together. Thanks much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Forbes. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, and do have a blessed day.
You're welcome, my dear.
Life is like